Prime Minister Rabuka, welcome to Israel and thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to visit, and I don't get the opportunities very much nowadays. So whenever I can come and visit, I'll take it.
So why did you decide to open an embassy in Jerusalem? As I understand, Fiji has about 13 embassies worldwide.
Well, we have had a diplomatic relationship with Israel since we became independent in 1970. We had an embassy set up in Fiji after 1987, and we had always intended to have a resident ambassador here. Although we have manned our embassy, or we have conducted our diplomatic relationship with the State of Israel from a non-resident ambassador position, and the current one is also Fiji's permanent representative in the United Nations, based in New York.
And were you not concerned about the international reaction, especially because of this very unique timing to open the embassy here?
It is a unique time. It is there's a lot of issues being raised, but diplomatic relationship is between two states, and what they agree on is what happens.
And if I may ask, what is your view regarding the war Israel is currently waging against Hamas?
Unfortunately, the world has forgotten how that started. On the 7th of October 2023, there was an aggressive assault into the State of Israel territory, where some innocent lives were taken, and it has continued from that. And a responsible state is a state that will look after its citizens and make sure that the threat to its citizens are eliminated.
And you also know this region very well because you were a senior officer in UNIFIL. So I would like to use your expertise and ask you, what do you think about the decision to shut down UNIFIL and replace it with the Lebanese army?
It would have been the normal and natural process. Resolutions 425 and 426 of the United Nations laid the foundation for the deployment of a United Nations force into an area just north of the internationally recognized border. And there was a demilitarized area and the United Nations area where no armed units of all those involved was supposed to be operating in. And that is where UNIFIL, United Nations Interim Forces in Lebanon, was deployed from May, June 78 until it was moved. It was pretty well observed. There were some incursions, and there were some cross-border violations. Overflights were reported from the Israeli side, firing both from the Lebanese side, outside of the UNIFIL area, and also retaliatory fire from the northern Israel sites happened. We reported those, and as part of the force commander's report to the United Nations to try and get him a picture on how well or not well the interim forces in Lebanon were operating at the time, in observance of the two resolutions that were passed.
Now, the people of Fiji are very supportive of Israel. What is the reason for this unique affection?
Well, we were, first of all, originally very tribal people. When our forefathers moved in to occupy the islands of the South Pacific, we now call Fiji, they had their own traditional systems, their own traditional gods, or what they called tribal gods, until the Christian missionaries came in 1830 and 1835, and we were Christianized. And as we all know, Christians born out of the Bible and the Old Testament is a basic a book of the Jewish people, and we really did not find any big difference between peoples. We saw children of God in all faiths around the world.
And maybe you can tell us a little bit about your country. What are the main problems and challenges that you are facing, and how does Israel is helping you to face these challenges?
First of all, in 1987, when our traditional partners turned away from us because of a military coup in Fiji, Israel was one of those that came in to fill the void, particularly in the supply of naval patrol boats, coastal patrol boats, and also some small arms and ammunition to help us maintain our responsibility to the United Nations in Lebanon and Sinai. In the other areas, we have seen the benefits of the cooperation, but not enough in Fiji. We've seen a lot of cooperation going on in Papua New Guinea in the field of agriculture. That is one area we would like to pick up on and develop into world-class export agricultural produce levels. Even if we do not get to major exporting, we should at least stop or lessen our reliance on imported foodstuff, particularly for our thriving tourist industry. Our tourism is doing very well. Our economy is anchored on tourism income, and our airline is doing very well. Recently, being recognized as in the world classification and awards. So the airlines, Fiji Airways, is doing very well. Our infrastructure needs to be brought up again to cater for the increasing volume of tourism traffic. There needs to be more hotel rooms. At the moment, we are temporarily accommodating that with fly and cruise solutions, where tourists fly in, spend a night or two, get on a cruise boat, go around the Pacific, go into another area in the Pacific and fly home. That's the sort of thing. And the Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Conference that was held last week in the Solomon Islands picked up that mode of tourism and tourism cooperation. And I think it will be a great harmonizing factor for the islands of the Pacific Islands Forum.
Okay, so you spoke about tourism, and maybe you know that Israelis are among the world's greatest travelers, but they are a bit less familiar with Fiji, mainly because of the distance. What does Fiji have to offer to the Israeli tourists?
I think you should look at the Bible, where the Bible talks about the distant islands. I think they were talking about Fiji, and we'll welcome all travelers from this part of the world. They've come to us all the way from Europe, and there is no reason really why the old center of the world should not come to the island where the east meets the west, and that is Fiji. We're right on the international date line. One page to your right and you're west, one page to your left and you're east.
And Fiji is not a very big country, but it's quite a powerhouse in your region. We are less familiar with it. Can you tell us a bit about the Pacific, about the common challenges, about the international relations and politics, and the role that Fiji takes as a leader in this area?
Fiji has not deliberately tried to become the leader. It is its central position, and perhaps the early development of the colony and our education system. And the fact that during the First and the Second World War, 1914 to 18 and 1939 to 45, Fijians were used in the Allied efforts, fighting alongside American and British first and Americans in the Second World War and the Pacific Campaign. So we have enjoyed that world recognition as a responsible member of the international community that was prepared, regardless of its size and its population, to play its part in world events.
Now, you've mentioned earlier the military coup of 1987. Since then, you were democratically elected as the Prime Minister of Fiji. But can you tell us a little bit about the reasons for this coup and the one that came afterwards?
I felt that the subsequent military coups in Fiji, there was something that almost called a civilian coup, but it was backed by elements of the army. I believe they were not needed. A lot of negotiation, a lot of understanding what was going on behind the scenes, and the fears of 1987 had not really been taken out of our life situation. The fear really was mostly nationalistic, when the indigenous nationalists felt that they were going to be swamped by the modern dynamics of population, that's immigration, and the demands of the socio-cultural developments, where traditionally the indigenous Fijians were not really into pursuing education as such. Education was a basic requirement for village life, for ordinary life. It's not education for development, education for discovery, education for innovation, that sort of thing. We weren't really into that. But now that those have played a major part in the profiling of education in the world, we're catching on, and we're getting to be international citizens now, internationally competitive, and we are so proud to see some of our own Fijian citizens featuring well in other parts of the world in those fields.
And you have also mentioned earlier that Israel has supplied patrol boats to Fiji in the past, and I was wondering whether you discussed with Prime Minister Netanyahu any future security deals between Israel and Fiji, and also because it's a personal interest of mine, and I know you were a senior officer in the Fiji Armed Forces, if you can tell us a bit about the Fiji Armed Forces.
We have basically, in the army is basically an infantry unit supported by the logistics and the various arms of engineering, electrical, mechanical engineering, and the signals corps. Those are the areas that have gone miles ahead of basic infantry soldiering, and it is world standard, and it keeps a pace with the world because of its technological requirements and development. And they are the areas where we can really work well if we got assistance from the Israeli government. One area that we are worried about and we have been bullied in is the area of cyber and cyber security. We have recently gone into some sort of cooperation with the Australian government, but who else is better qualified than the state of Israel in those areas? So you have a survival responsibility, and the best thing to survive now is to keep abreast with those technological developments, particularly in the cyber and cyber security. So that is one area that we are looking at developing for us in the Pacific, not only for Fiji, for the other areas too. The world is getting smaller, and we're getting a lot of the influences, bad influences, from further out, further afield, coming in. The area of controlling the importation, illegal importation of drugs, and their effect on the local population. There has been an unrealistic and unacceptable increase in HIV and AIDS that has been spread and multiplied by the use of common use of needles in the administration of these drugs. So I have asked the Australian authorities. They do not have any problems with us putting on the platforms or the patrol boats we get from the Australian aid as part of the Pacific Patrol Boat Program for the Pacific. They do not have any problems if we put extra capabilities on those platforms. For example, the power to identify shipping that's coming into our EEZ. I believe they are sophisticated enough now to try and hide their ID. And if they hide that, we're still capable with the technology that's available now to be able to pinpoint them, identify them, their port of origin, and their destination.
Prime Minister Rabuka, once again, welcome to Israel and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Thank you.